Welcome to my Module 1 assignment. I've named it the Will and the Way, and it's an overview of the many different ways Ontario schools offer cooperative education. Now, the first thing you need to understand when you're watching this presentation is that I'm going to be talking about the other forms of co-op. So when I say other, it leads to the question, well, what's the regular? So we have a baseline for comparison. The regular co-op usually begins at the beginning of the year or the term, if your school is semestered or not. It's generally offered for full-time students. And students are in school for about 3 weeks of pre-placement learning and then several other days in the term for follow-up co-op lessons, and the rest of the time they're on their co-op placement. Normally, students either do a morning co-op or an afternoon co-op if they're doing the 2-credit co-ops, or all day if they're doing the 4-credit. And keep in mind that, again, a normal credit hours are 110 hours are 1 credit of co-op. And for the large majority, normal co-op is not paid. There are some exceptions, like a unionized environment, but just keep all of these points in mind so I can point out the differences. I'm not going to say this on all the slides for these different points, but all co-op must meet the requirements, which is in our new ministry document. Of course, if they're under 18, they need their parents' permission. And just something to note that school boards do have to take little considerations into effect, such as if you're going to offer co-op in the summer, you're going to have to make sure you have qualified cooperative education teachers. If you've got IEP kids in the co-op program, you've got to have some spec ed staff to support them. If you have night co-op, you're going to have someone available at night. So just wanted to have that staffing consideration as a common issue to consider. And of course, each student is going to have to apply for co-op via the channel for the type of co-op that they want. So for example, there's certain dates for summer school applications. And all of the co-ops have the same sets of safety assessments. They all have to have a work ed agreement. They all have to have a pre-assessment checklist done. There's just some common safety things. They all take their WSIB training, etc. So instead of saying that on all of the slides, these are common to all of the types. Another thing that was not listed as common for all of them, because these fact sheets that I did the research on are from a decade ago, but all co-ops now should include some form of e-learning or online learning. You know, where I'm working right now, I've set us up a Google Classroom and it just works brilliantly. So the students can just work through the various assignments in the Google Classroom to get the classroom component done. So again, I'm not going to say that as I discuss every type, but they should all have it. So now let's look at the different types. The first one is the type that I'm working in right now. It's called continuous intake, and again, one of the big differences here is exactly what the name says. You're not just starting at the beginning of the year. You can take co-op at any point in the year. So I'm working in an alternative education system right now, and we have kids come down in November. We'll have kids come next month. So if they can start a co-op whenever works for them. It is for full or part-time students. Again, we've got several kids that just need 2 credits left. It works really well for them. Students generally get referred to this type of a program. They can identify themselves, but it's often our guidance counselors or the admin, which will say this will be a good way for you to get some credits to finish up. And as usual, they have to be interviewed by the co-op teacher, and we have to make sure we have a suitable placement for them, and of course if the student has the desire. Who are the type of students that do this? Well, there could be reasons such as the family physically relocates to the area so they can only start in November. That was the situation of one girl I can think of. There could be health issues that come up with the student, and therefore they're away, they're missing school for a couple months, and then they come back, let's say again in November, they can start a co-op, so that works really well for them. We have a lot of these in the program, the students who are at risk, mainly due to attendance and behavior. A lot of early leavers, the kids who left school without finishing, and it is important to note that I still need to find a course credit tie-in for them. Something to consider. And you've got a lot of students with financial needs, so sometimes they need to work, and in our continuous intake co-op they actually can work. Another form of co-op is night school. One thing to note is if a student is enrolled in day school, they have to get their principal permission to do night school. This is the only program that I've seen in my research where it's not the 110 hours as I previously described, and it is 90 hours. And it does say in the ministry fact sheet that the whole program should involve the same amount of work as the day school. That's in relation to the classroom assignments. Boards should consider offering e-co-op opportunities. So at night school, you will want to make sure you have that Google Classroom set up. Who does night school? Well, sometimes you have a student who really wants to do co-op, but they just can't fit it in their schedule. You may have a student who really wants to do a co-op, but the placement is only open in the evening. A perfect example is, at the Stratford Festival, they have a lot of the shows only in the evening times, and so it just works better for the industry. Some of those students will also be enrolled in the SHISM, the Specialist High School Majors program, and they might just have to do their co-op at night to get those co-op linked credits. And again, you're going to have students who have left without a diploma, and again, you're going to have students that their financial situation requires them to work. So this way they can actually earn some money and be in a night school cooperative education. Another way is summer school. Now this is an interesting program, the Junior Ranger program. I am actually from a town that offered this program, offered from the M&R, the Ministry of Natural Resources. It's a really unique cooperative education program teaching the students how to do conservation in our provincial parks. And one of the best things about summer school is it can often lead to a paid job either in future years, or perhaps even the placement can offer some part-time employment during the school year. So a summer school cooperative program is really helpful for that. One serious board consideration: if any school board is going to be offering a co-op program which will extend beyond the usual summer school is usually July, but if there's some kind of a co-op that is going to go on longer than that, the school board is going to have to make sure they have staff to do the monitoring, to grant the final credits. So it's something to keep in mind. So who takes summer school? Well, students again who really want to do co-op, but they can't fit it into their regular 8 classes that they take in the school year. And there's a lot of programs that are only run in the summer, like all of the kids camps. You've got a lot of the farms that need extra hands for the agricultural products. So you've got all these specialist high school majors like agricultural, where a summer school co-op really works for them. And of course you've still got your students who just need it for a financial reason. And as you can see, the ministry guidelines do note that the co-op placement must be differentiated from just a regular summer job. Now you've also got co-op that's offered in a continuing ed. These are for our mature students. So to be mature, you're generally out of school for at least a year. You can be out for a lot longer than that and having come back. And you must interview for this program, and you must be, of course, enrolled or completed an appropriate tie-in that we can tie it to. And one different point here is that the candidates often have to take a workplace interview with the potential employer before starting the placement. And often these mature students set up their own co-ops. They have a connection, maybe they've already worked there, maybe they know someone, and it often is kind of informally agreed upon before they even start their co-op when you're dealing with these adult learners, these mature learners. And the boards are always saying we want to have a minimum of at least 2 co-ops for these adult learners to give them their 3 credits, the tie-in course and the 2 who's taken it. Again, generally it's the people who have left school before graduating and they can come back to a continuing ed program. We have a country that has a wonderful immigration policy, and one way that new immigrants can get some Canadian work experience is to enroll in a continuing education program and then do some co-op. They can also improve their English this way if that is an issue. And it's a great stepping stone to get into the marketplace. And again, these students are generally, supporting families, they're independent, and they need the money. The virtual co-op is quite an interesting one. Again, it's the only one where it can be done completely remotely. So I talked about the Google Classroom already. This one, you could actually have the placement supervisor located in the community or in another community, city, or province. So this is completely an online co-op. And the students who are really suited to this are going to be your tech-savvy students, your self-learners, your organized, more mature students, and of course you are going to have an IT code of behavior in place for this. This is the only one that I saw where obviously an in-person pre-assessment may not be feasible. If the child is doing their co-op in the neighboring province or even a few hours away, you're not going to be able to get there. So it does say to do a very thorough reference check, such as checking with the Better Business Bureau that the company is all legitimate. And again, you're not going to have your regular amount of 2 co-op visits every 110 hours. You are going to be doing more monitoring by email and by phone in this situation. And we do have to consider the WSIB implications. If these students are working at home or working remotely somewhere else, all of that work will still need the work ed agreement. So who would take e-co-op? Well, it is very, very flexible. So we have a really big country, a really big province, and a lot of times we're not going to have the transportation ability, or it's a specialized industry. So this just allows us great flexibility to have a student take e-co-op. It's the only one where the board says a single credit is okay to take it. It's hard to schedule a single credit co-op, but for e-co-op you can actually do it. Another great thing is all of our students with the IEPs, maybe they can't cope working in a workplace, but they can do data entry remotely. So this is a great option for our IEP students who want to take e-co-op. And there's just some industries where working at home has become more and more predominant, such as web developers, translators, data entry agents, video production, all of these kind of specialty roles. It's a great opportunity. So basically, if a student wants to take co-op, if he has the will to take co-op, there's definitely a way to take co-op. Our system is quite flexible in these different methods. Thank you for watching, and there is a list of my resources. And I've enjoyed this assignment and just growing my own knowledge.